So you've been to the library many times and you think you know everything there is to know about what it has to offer. Well, we might have some surprises for you today. Stay tuned for the better part. Hello, my name is Charles Bedord, and my guest today is Ms. Rosalind Donald, who's acting Saratoga Community Librarian. Rosalind, welcome to the better part.
Thanks for having me.
And I understand that you have some very interesting information about what you term library surprises. Can you tell me, what are these library surprises?
Well, I've worked in libraries a long time, Charles, and so a lot of these things seem like, old hat to me, but whenever I talk to people about the library, they always seem quite surprised by things that I think are quite ordinary, or at least are ordinary for people who are around libraries a lot. So one thing that I wanted to tell people is that even though you think you know what the library has, lots of books, lots of magazines, lots of DVDs, it's just like icebergs. 80% of what the library has lies beneath.
Yes, yes.
Beneath. And the only way you can find out about them is to explore our website, or there's always asking a librarian what we've got. So today I thought we would explore a few of the services that aren't on the shelf.
Well, let's go underneath and see what's there.
Great. So the first one I wanted to talk about was the fact that we have a senior discount. If you are 65 and older, you may request an exemption from late fees.
Well, that's very interesting, as I certainly qualify for that.
Mm-hmm. And so you do have to go in and request it. They'll change over some library cards automatically, but if you hit 65, you just check in with the library and say, I don't have to pay late fees anymore.
So it's no longer a case. I remember when I grew up going to libraries, your parents and friends would always say, be sure to return the books on time, otherwise you're going to be fined,
exactly.
quote unquote.
Well, we would like you to get them back on time, but still, if it's nice when you're over 65 that you aren't subject to the late fees anymore.
Is. Yes, because when you hit 65 too, it can be a little difficult getting around sometimes.
Exactly, and that leads to my next surprise, which is we do offer homebound services for people who are temporarily disabled or even more of a long-term disability. If you're having trouble getting into the library on a regular basis, then we can offer the homebound service. If you, for example, if you are having surgery, you're laid up for 4 or 6 weeks, or if you have a more serious disability that makes it difficult for you to get to the library, you can ask to be considered a homebound patron. You give us your kind of reading and viewing preferences, and we'll put together a bag of books and DVDs for you once a month.
Now, are there any charges for this?
No, it's
You're
free.
Kidding.
Free with your library card.
It's a great service.
Yes, it really can be wonderful, especially when in a difficult time when you're bored at home and you don't like soap operas.
I take it that you can do this either by telephone or you can do it over the internet as far as
yes.
set this up.
Yes, you can do it by phone or by email as long as you have a library card. If you don't have, see there, that's the kicker. The library card is the smartest card in your wallet.
Right.
So if you don't have a library card, we can set it up for you. It takes a little more doing. But I've had librarians who will go to people's houses with the form so that they can, fill it out and get set up.
So the librarian will actually come to your house and help you?
Well, we would prefer that you come in because that's a lot more efficient. But in extreme cases, yes, we will make sure we will get a library card in your hands.
Okay.
So
and again, this is not just the Cupertino Library, but you're talking about the Santa Clara County library system in general.
Correct. This will you can do this at all the libraries in the county district.
Okay.
Now, if you happen to live in San Jose or Sunnyvale or Mountain View, you need to check with your city libraries because we can only do it for the cardholders who live in our district.
Okay.
But I think most of the people who are watching this show are going to be in our district.
Yes.
Okay. So that is a wonderful service if you're laid up. Another thing, when you're ready to get up and go, is our Discover and Go free museum passes.
A free museum
A
passes.
free museum pass,
Now, I
yes.
take it you don't have museums at the library.
No, no, we don't. Although a number of our libraries do have little displays, but of historical artifacts. But there's such a wide variety of cultural venues here in the Bay Area, and a lot of them are not very well known. So we got together with them to provide the system of passes that you reserve with your library card. Now, there's only a few passes available per day for each library, and some of the more popular ones do get booked up quickly. For example, the Exploratorium.
Right, right.
Those get reserved way in advance. But what I find most useful about Discover and Go is that it reminds me of some of the smaller locations that maybe don't get as much press, but are still really interesting places to go.
Well, could you give us an example?
Yes, in fact, just a couple of months ago, I took my 12-year-old son to the Pacific Pinball Museum.
The what?
There is a pinball museum in Alameda in this funny little storefront.
Pinball, that's fascinating.
Oh, it's wonderful. They have really old pinball machines from the 20s and 30s, and then they have more from every decade. Now, the really old ones are roped off because they're a little fragile now, but you can play all the other ones
I'll be darned.
for free.
That sounds absolutely wonderful.
It was
I'd love
great.
to go there.
I couldn't believe my child had never actually played a pinball machine. So now I have taken care of that essential part of his education.
Well, that's right. I mean, I imagine the children today, they just grow up on video screens.
Exactly,
Right, actually you have to pull out a lever and let it click back.
I had to show him how to pull the plunger back. He couldn't figure it out. He's
It's
usually
kind of
pretty
like going
bright.
to Las Vegas anymore and expecting to play a slot machine by pulling a handle.
Exactly.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Well, at the pinball machine, they still have
Right.
old-fashioned pinball machines at that pinball museum. So that's just one example of the kind of lesser-known but really cool resources that the Bay Area has to offer.
So can you also, for instance, reserve the California Natural History Museum?
Yes, they do offer passes for the Academy of Sciences, although those two get snapped up quick.
Just for curiosity, how far in advance do you have to arrange for a pass for one of the more popular venues?
For the popular ones, I would look at least 6 weeks in advance. There's different time limits for the different institutions, and so check online. You log in.
That's very good to know if you have people coming in from out of town and you know ahead of time when they're going to be here.
Exactly, but I also like the potluck approach, and I think, gee, we have nothing to do tomorrow.
Right.
What's available on Sunday? What's a new expedition for us? So one thing I do want to emphasize is that you don't actually have to come into the library and stand at the reference desk to talk to a librarian. I mean, we always love to see you, but there are many ways to contact a librarian. How many of them can you guess?
Well, I would guess we're here in the Silicon Valley, so I'm going to guess text messaging.
Text messaging is one.
Okay, email certainly.
Email, yep.
Telephone.
Telephone, mm-hmm.
I would say smoke signal, but that might be pushing it.
Yeah, no smoking in the library. No, not even vapes.
Okay.
You can also make an appointment with a librarian. I strongly urge you to do that, especially if you are learning to use our ebooks and are a little unfamiliar with your device. Make an appointment with one of us, and we'll sit down and show you how to use library ebooks on your mobile device.
That's very good to know, because so you can set up an appointment with a librarian like you would with a doctor or a dentist.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Sure, we're happy to do that. I would rather do that than have you come in and be disappointed if you show up to do something kind of long and complicated at 3:30 on a after-school afternoon when the library is wild with 12-year-olds being 12. So yeah, make an appointment if you've got something long and complicated, or any other kind of research assistance. If you're doing genealogy or doing business research, we can help you. So there's a number of different ways to contact a librarian, and if you're in this situation that this poor woman is in, where she is out of things to read, that is the best time to contact a librarian.
She looks like she has a headache.
I know, she looks very stressed out, and I feel bad. And luckily, I have a number of solutions to her problem of having nothing to read.
Okay, well, let's hear them.
Yeah. So one secret is sort of like the secret collection at the library. We order copies of the really hot books, but we don't put them in the catalog.
The secret collection, like a secret menu or something.
Yes, it's like the secret menu at In-N-Out Burger, where you have to know how to ask for it. Luckily, if you come to the library, this is not a secret. It's usually prominently displayed near the front entrance. we buy copies of books that are part of what we call our bestseller or browsing collection that don't go out on hold and are in the library to be picked up. Now, the checkout is only for a week, so don't go crazy on them. But if you're looking for that hot bestseller, I encourage you to drop by the library and see if we have an extra copy or two. We have them for adults, we have them for teens. I think at one time when Hunger Games was at its peak popularity, we had 150 extra copies of the Hunger Games.
Wow.
Because it was just super popular with teens and adults and older kids too. We also have bestseller DVDs for those hot movies.
Okay.
So that's one way you can get a quick reading fix. Another way you can look through and kind of discover new things to read if you're in a reading emergency is look again on our website, because there's a number of reading resources on there. If you click on the Browse tab on our website, there's subject-oriented lists, but there's also, you can suggest a purchase. So if there's something you want to read but the library doesn't have, you can suggest a purchase for us.
Okay, so if there's a book that you really want to read and you think, well, possibly the library is not going to have this, you can actually suggest the library purchase a book, and there's a good chance that it will be purchased.
There's a good chance. I won't say 100% guarantee.
Yes.
If you request, an ancient manuscript on Assyrian philosophy, we might think, let's see if we can borrow that for you from a university library, but the library doesn't need to own that forever. We're not a university, but chances are we will purchase your item. And if you put in your library card number, you'll be _1 on the hold list.
Well, that's great to know. That's terrific.
Yeah. So another way that you can fix your get your reading fix is to use our Next Reads service.
And Next Reads?
Next Reads. It's an email reading suggestion service. And so you sign up with Next Reads, give them your email address, and then you can check off the sort of broad subject areas that you like to read. So if you're interested in historical fiction or romance or war stories or world politics or cookbooks, even, you check off the subject that you want, and then within a few weeks you'll get an email that lists 5 or 6 of the editor's suggestions in that particular genre.
That's a terrific idea. It really is. Because I think many of us have our own venue that we enjoy, a particular type of book, and we don't really know what's out there that might be interesting to us. So this is something that we could have recruit the help of a librarian on this.
Exactly. Good. And you don't, if you're shy, you don't ever actually have to talk to us. This is a good way to identify some of the really great titles that maybe kind of run under the radar and are not super popular, but are in fact excellent reads.
Well, that's very good to know.
So, and then you can just put a hold on the book through our catalog.
Because I know many times I've read a book and gee, I thought that was really interesting. Is there anything else out there like this or similar to it? And I wouldn't know how to go about looking for it until now. Next
Reads is one way to do that. Another great resource to use, and this too is available online with your library card, is Book Browse. So if you've read a great book and you think, wow, I really want to read more books like this, one thing you can do is look up by the author, but another way you can go about it is to look up the book in Book Browse. So for example, if you had read Lock In by John Scalzi and you thought, I never really liked science fiction before, but this is really good, I need more books like this. You put in the title in Book Browse and it will come back with a suggestion of what we call read-alikes. Books that are similar to the one you just liked, either in setting or in pace or in time period, any number of similarities. So once again, that's a way to kind of uncover the hidden gems in the collection.
Very good to know. Yeah, so you can say, well, what else is out there I haven't read by Stephen King or Tom Clancy, for instance.
Exactly.
Yes.
You can do that, but you can say, once you've run through all the Stephen King, and it is possible, even though he's very prolific, to run through all the Stephen King novels. And then you say, well, who else out there is writing books that are like Stephen King's books?
Right.
Book Browse also has a wonderful section of suggestions for starting a book discussion group, or kind of rejuvenating one after maybe it's gotten a little tired. And it also also has discussion guides for some of the most popular book club books.
Discussion guides. Tell me, what's a discussion guide?
Well, it's questions you can use to kind of get the discussion going
Okay.
when you're at your book club.
Because I've noticed that more and more people I talk to mention being a member of a book club. That seems to be a growing trend here
It
in the
is
Bay
very
Area.
popular. All of our libraries, of course, have book clubs, but of course, people like also to have book clubs at home or in restaurants. And this can be a good way to pick out some interesting books, and then you have a discussion guide that gives a little background on the author, but also has 4 or 5 questions to help you get the discussion rolling.
You made an interesting comment. The libraries have book clubs?
Oh yes, all of our libraries have book
Didn't know
groups.
that either.
Oh, see, I didn't even put that on the. See, there's more surprises the more we talk about it. Oh no, all of our libraries have book discussion groups certainly for adults. For example, Saratoga's is on the first Monday of every month, and if you're interested, just call us and we'll give you the selection for next month.
That's good to know.
We order extra copies of paperbacks for those so that we're sure to have plenty of copies. So there's all kinds of stuff you can get out of Book Browse. There's also a way to keep track of your reading through our catalog. When you log on to the catalog, you have an account, and you have what are called shelves, or it's under My Collections. So if you see something interesting in your next read selection or on Book Browse, but you don't have time to read it right now, then you can put it on your For Later shelf.
Okay.
I think I've got one of those. Yes, there it is. So for later, you can save items in the catalog that you want to read later, but you're not ready to put on hold just yet.
Right.
And then when you hit one of those panicked moments when you finish the back of the cereal box, you can say, oh, let me look on my For Later shelf and pick out 1 or 2 of the items that I meant to read but I forgot about.
Okay, good.
It cuts down on the number of little pieces of paper
it's kind
in
of
your pocket.
a brain tickler, too.
It is.
Yeah,
exactly.
It really is.
Exactly. That way you can hold things on there. And then once you finish them, you can put them on your completed shelf. So that way you can keep track. Because I am a terrible rereader of books where I pick something up and think, this sounds great. And I get 10 pages in and I think, I read this already. Crap. So anyway, so the completed shelf is very handy. And then switching subjects quite a bit. There's a lot of people who don't enjoy the pleasure of reading. In fact, 1 in 6 people in Santa Clara County could not read the slide that's up on the screen right now. And a lot of people are what we would call functionally illiterate. They maybe can cope with simple forms, but can't do anything more complex. And we have the reading program. It's a wonderful volunteer opportunity where adults help adults learn to read or learn to read better.
Now, tell us about this. This sounds very interesting. I personally have a friend, for instance, now this is different from teaching English as a second language.
It is
correct?
different.
Because I have
yes.
a friend who does that. But tell us about this more about your
Well, the reading
program.
program provides an orientation for tutors, and they match up tutors with learners, and it's a one-on-one tutoring situation. And the reading program will match you up, give you orientation to help you learn how to teach your learner, and then provide materials for you and the learner to work on together. And tutor-learner pairs generally meet once a week at the library, and they work through whatever material the learner's working on. And it can be incredibly rewarding to get to know somebody from a totally different walk of life and really boost their reading level and help them both function better in life. I mean, can you imagine looking at like a health insurance form and not being able to read? Or being afraid that you can't read it all.
Right.
And even if you speak English perfectly well, there's quite a few adults who got through school with an undiagnosed learning disability.
That's right.
Or just kind of never quite caught on.
That's
So
right.
they just kind of skated under the radar.
And that's an entirely different situation than English as a second language.
Entirely
Yes.
different. We do have a few English language learners in the program who are looking to improve their reading levels, but it's not specifically an English tutoring, English as a second language tutoring opportunity. If you know of someone that you're in contact with who maybe you think maybe has some reading problems, you can also suggest the reading program to them as a resource. It's completely free.
Okay, that's a terrific program.
Yeah, it's a really good thing to do. I strongly suggest
that's
anybody who's
very
looking for a
valuable.
volunteer opportunity to do this. Now, moving on to more of the iceberg that's under the water. What is it, like 80% of the iceberg?
80% of the iceberg, I understand, is under the water.
It's under the water. So now we're going to talk about some of the stuff that is under the water. A lot of people come into the library looking for consumer reports because it's a fantastic resource. But I think a lot of people don't know that you can get consumer reports online through the library.
Really?
Yes. Yes, you can. So you can log on and search for, you can go to our research page on the website and look under consumer affairs and then link to consumer reports. You log on with your library card and then all you're searching is consumer reports. So you can search for refrigerators or cars, not mattresses. They never do mattresses anymore. So consumer reports is one of them. And another one that I wanted to point out for lifelong learners is Learning Express. This is wonderful if you have kids or grandkids who are preparing for the SAT.
Oh, yes, yes. I know all about that. SAT, ACT, and graduate school entrance examinations, etc.
The TOEFL for people who are coming from other countries. But it also has resources for people who maybe are switching careers or applying for jobs. We get a lot of people coming in who say, oh gosh, I'm applying for this job and it requires a math or an algebra test and I haven't cracked an algebra book in 20 years. What do I do? And I say, well, Learning Express is a great way to brush up on your algebra, take a little quiz, and it will assess where your weaknesses are.
Well, one thing about the SAT and ACT tests, too, is that many people spend hundreds of dollars taking professional courses on how to prepare for these tests. And what you're saying, if I hear you right, you're saying this type of preparation really, you can get this for free through the library.
Certainly the services offer, one-on-one consultation. It's a high level of service. But if you just want to kind of give yourself an assessment and some practice taking these kinds of exams, you can do that through Learning Express and the library.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, when you talk about all of these, you have to have a library card.
Absolutely.
Your library card is a good economic vehicle, too.
Absolutely.
It's not just a convenience vehicle, but it can save you some money.
It can save you some money.
If you use the programs that the library card offers to you.
It saves you some money and it can get you a better job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Another learning experience that we offer that's a little wider range than Learning Express is Universal Class. Universal Class is similar to Coursera or Lynda, those new online...
right. I've taken a couple of those.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought you had. Well, Universal Class is available through your library, and it has classes for a wide range of subjects. I mean, just what you name it, and it's on there. You can do more career-oriented work like medical billing or learning to do accounting, but you can also do something that's just enriching for your life. What I've got up on the screen is they have classes for hobbyists. So they have something on painting, they have photography, they have how to knit, and it has little videos, and then you take little quizzes and do a little reading, and you kind of work your way through the course, and then you get a badge at the end saying that you've completed the course. So it has self-help. It has, how weight loss tips, or how to be happier, or how to quit smoking. All kinds of stuff like that.
Good to know. Good to know.
So, and then if you are thinking about traveling, first of all, you can go to the library and look for some guidebooks. But if you want to brush up on a language, say you're going to Paris, but you haven't spoken French in a long, long time, Pronunciator is available online with your library card to help you either brush up on a language and kind of wake up that part of your brain.
Or just even learn anything about a new language. Many times you wind up traveling to a country that you haven't spoken the language at all. You really don't know.
Yes, and Pronunciator has what they call an 8-week traveler's tips course where you just pick up some essential phrases.
Okay, so that's another thing through the library.
That is another thing through the library website. You see how vast this iceberg is?
Yes, I'm getting a good idea of it now, yes.
Pronunciator also has an ESL module as well.
An ESL?
An English as a Second Language module.
Okay.
So that is also an ESL way to learn that. And last but not least, I did want to mention the Health Information Center at Cupertino, the Plane Tree Health
Yes,
Center.
tell us a little bit about that, because I've heard a lot about Plane Tree.
Well, it is a specialized medical library within the Cupertino Library, and it's off in a little room. It's kind of hard to find, but all the library staff know where to find it. And they have a librarian there who's very experienced in medical research, but also they have volunteers to help you do research. So often people don't want to talk about medical issues.
Not at the front of the library.
Not at the front of the library, no,
Right.
with everybody walking by. There's things you really don't want to discuss in public.
Right.
So Plane Tree offers a more private space where you can discuss perhaps more embarrassing conditions. But it also is, they're very experienced in getting you more sophisticated health information. And they're
Okay.
available by phone, in person, or by email as well.
Okay. And I take it you can use the computers there, and they'll show you how to access it?
Absolutely. They'll use the computers
Okay,
there.
very interesting. I'm learning an awful lot of new things today about the library,
Right.
I have to admit.
I did want to mention that even though September is National Library Card Month, every month is National Library Card Month, and you can get a library card anytime. It doesn't just have to be in September.
Now, do you have to show up physically at the library to get a library card?
You do have to show up at least once with a photo ID to get your card, but you can fill out all the paperwork online.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so you can just actually go there one time, and then everything can be done online.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments? We're getting close to running out of time here, but anything else that you'd like to mention?
I could go on and on and on, as you well know, but I will stop at the moment. And I'll just say, if you have any other questions about the library or have any questions about how to use our resources, we are more than happy to help. So
Okay.
please give us a call or drop by and say hi.
Well, I'll certainly be in to check it out.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Rosalind, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us some new and very interesting information about the Santa Clara County Public Library System. And we also thank our audience for joining us today. And we urge you that you can follow our shows both on YouTube and Roku, or watch them right here on KMBT. Now, I've got a question for our audience, too. Are you interested in helping to create a television show? Well, if you are, please contact the Cupertino Senior Center and express your interest in joining our group, The Better Part. Newcomers are always welcome to attend our meetings held at the Cupertino Senior Center at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesdays. See you next week.